Our first question dealt with the global implications of Iran gaining nuclear capabilities. I think all of you are in agreement that this would present an existential threat to Israel and potentially to the U.S. President Netanyahu was right. We wouldn't consider allowing ISIS to develop nuclear capabilities, so why would we allow Iran? They're equally dangerous, perhaps Iran even more so. Some of you spoke to the connection between Iran and ISIS. But remember, we're dealing with two different sects of Islam, Sunni and Shia. ISIS is Sunni, and they're seeking to overthrow the government of Iraq, which is largely Shia, despite the fact that Iraq has a Sunni majority. As Netanyahu observed, radical or political Islam seeks to establish itself as a master faith. They just can't decide on who should be the master of the master faith. Now, we're going to examine this Shia-Sunni issue in a little bit more depth here in Unit 7. But essentially, their major divide, and it is a major one, is over who should lead the worldwide caliphate. There's a question of succession, whether the caliph, the leader of Islam, should be a descendant of the Prophet Muhammad, or if the Muslim world has the right to choose their successor. The Shia insist it should be a descendant of Muhammad's through his son-in-law, while the Sunni believe that the caliph can be chosen or elected. So Iran and ISIS fall on different sides of this issue. That's why some commentators suggest we use this opportunity to build some type of a coalition with Iran against a common enemy, ISIS, and use that leverage to somehow stabilize the Middle East. Others say that they're radical Islamists on both Shia and Sunni sides, so both of them are our enemy from that standpoint. And although there's this old war maxim that says the enemy of my enemy is my friend, it likely doesn't apply in this situation, since the U.S. and Israel are their common enemy, no matter what animosities might exist between the two, the Shia and Sunnis. You have to look at it from their perspective, not from ours. For example, from the U.S. perspective, we might say that, okay, Iran is an enemy of ISIS, so Iran is our friend in this given situation. Or the Syrian Free Army is an enemy of ISIS, so they're our friend. But when you look at it from their perspective, the enemy of both groups is the U.S. and Israel. Therefore, when it comes to uniting against a common enemy, they will see each other as friends. More on this later, and Bill Connor's video, incidentally, will help you understand it even more. Either way, keep a close watch on Iran and whether or not Israel decides to launch a preemptive strike. If they do, that is sure to reshuffle the deck in an unpredictable way. The second question dealt with lone wolf terrorists, and each of you did a good job of defining and analyzing the threat to homeland security that they pose. In fact, there's been other lone wolf attacks since I posted that discussion board, and the trend is likely to continue. In many ways, the lone wolf is the new face of Islamist terror, and it's one that local and federal law enforcement will have to adapt to in a very, very short time. This ties into our study in Unit 7 about the federal-local coordination of homeland security efforts. So be thinking of ways that you could identify lone wolf terrorists, prevent, and respond to their attacks.